Hey guys, I'm not here today, so I wanted to give you a little bit of a talk on senior project research paper, specifically research topic creation. Obviously, you guys have probably been thinking a lot about your research topics. You know what you want to do for your senior project as a whole, but you might not know what you're going to research for the essay. Now, I have your letters of intent and everything else, and we should be going over those within the next week or so. Um, the senior project committee, Mr. Fisher. For now, though, we're going to kind of go assuming that whatever your topic is, it's generally going to be similar. We're not going to do too much changing when it comes to analyzing your project and whether or not we approve that. Anyway, at this point, you should know kind of what you want to do, and we're going to pretend that we have an example like green energy. And this is what you initially came up with. You wanted to do a project on green energy. And you have since then kind of narrowed that down to wind power. And so you know that whatever senior project you do, you're going to do it, it's going to concern wind power. And that your product is going to be a windmill. All right. So you're doing green energy, specifically wind power. Your product is a windmill. Now, you're not going to write me a history paper over the windmill. You're not going to write me a history paper over what green energy or renewable energy or anything like that is. You're not writing a history paper at all. You're writing an argumentative research essay. Now, an argumentative research essay is in some ways similar to a persuasive essay in that you're arguing for a position of some sort. Now, the difference is an argumentative research paper only uses objective fact. It is all empirically proven science stuff, all right? Facts, statistics, expert opinion, the kind of things you can look up in an encyclopedia or in a research study and prove that they are true. While in a persuasive essay, you get in that, that little bit of the pathos and the ethos, so the emotional appeals and the ethical appeals that kind of help build trust and your inherently showing bias and all that stuff. A research essay is supposed to sound objective. It's supposed to use science to prove itself, and it's supposed to use all that stuff to convince somebody that whatever you're arguing for is correct. So understand that your topic is not going to necessarily just be over windmills. Now, if you can find a pretty direct link between windmills and your research topic, that's awesome. That's just going to make it a stronger link. But understand that you don't have to have a true direct link here. It only has to be a thread of relation. Now, in this case, think of in 2006 when my friend did her senior project, she did skydiving. All right, so her product was learning to skydive, but her paper was over how air currents affect U.S. air travel, which is not really anything to do with skydiving, except yeah, air currents can probably affect that. So keep that in mind. So if I'm going to be working with a windmill as my product, my essay is going to be over wind power or green energy, something within that realm. There's a lot I can talk about. I can talk about the negative effects of, coal or petroleum and things like that. Or I can talk about positive things like solar panels, wind power, hydroelectric power, stuff like that. So what I've got to start looking at and doing on my own is researching. So the first thing you need to do is research your options. Find out what's out there in the realm of whatever you're thinking of. What strings or threads can you follow? And once you've done that, narrow them down to ones that interest you. See, this is pretty simple. If something doesn't seem interesting to you, don't do it. Hydroelectric power has nothing to do with me. I don't really care about that because there's no large enough water bodies around here to properly use it. But out on Route 40, there's that awesome farm that has windmills, and that's kind of interesting to me because I heard that guy actually gets paid by the power company because he produces so much power out there, and it's actually linked into the grid. So hey, I'd like to make money off my windmills if possible. So that'd be something that would interest me is the wind power idea. Once you've narrowed it down, make sure it's researchable. Make sure there's stuff to look up. And what I mean by this is some topics sound really good, but it's so specialized that you might not be able to find stuff. It just means that when you go and Google something, you're at a complete blank canvas still, and nothing's showing up, or nothing useful is showing up. So keep that in mind when you're doing your research. And finally, pick something. By pick something, what I really mean is narrow down that search to something you definitely want to do and run with it. The faster you can get to this part, the better. So, for example, if I'm looking at wind power, if I'm looking at green energy, I might not find a lot of empirical stuff on the wind power itself, but I might find a lot of information on the government subsidizing people's homes or businesses or whatnot that switch to green energy. So suddenly I have a pretty good topic, and the topic is government subsidies for renewable energy. So that's a pretty nice topic. I think that's something I can find a lot of information on. And now from there we move on to the research question. And this might be what types of subsidy should be offered. Are they a good idea? Etc. So stuff along those lines. And then my thesis, or the beginning of my thesis, might be something along the lines of government subsidies for renewable energy would boost the economy because. Remember, eventually we will get rid of the word because in our thesis because it's not a good word for thesis statements. But anyway, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if renewable energy is going to boost the economy, but that just seems like a really good example. So this is just something to think about. And you're going to have some time today while I'm out to begin work on this and to kind of research your options, narrow them down, make sure there's stuff for those narrowed down options, and then pick your final option. Your goal today should be to leave your class with a research topic. In addition, you should get start on the Midsummer Night's Dream homework. You're going to have 2 page-and-a-half worksheets that should be passed out to you guys in packet form. So that being said, if you have questions, you can email me at miler@nationaltrail.us, or you can just wait until I'm back on Friday and we can talk then. Anyway, good luck, and I hope you guys figure out what you're doing. Thanks.